What's up, ninjas and ninjas? Welcome to another episode of the Exposure Ninja Digital Marketing Podcast. My name's Tim. I'm head ninja at Exposure Ninja and best-selling digital marketing author. This show is all about helping you to generate more leads and sales through your website. And in this episode, I'm joined by Daisi Pollard. Now, Daisi's come onto the show to talk about how images impact conversion rates. And Daisi's area of speciality is about helping businesses create amazing images which actually help them sell more product. And we dig into all sorts of things, from what makes good product photography for e-commerce, to also how you can use pictures of people and lifestyle type shots to improve the perception of any business that you're running, whatever space that you're in. Really interesting interview, so I'm sure you're going to get loads out of this. Also, don't forget, if you want some help with your digital marketing, then you can request a free website and marketing review from the team here at Exposure Ninja. We are on hand to give you a hand with your digital marketing. That is the worst slogan ever. Editing team, feel free to cut that one out or just leave it in to show that we're real. Anyway, to get a free website and marketing review of your site and your digital marketing, just head over to Exposure Ninja and we'll take a look. So what happens is we'll ask you for a few bits of information in a questionnaire, and one of the team will then spend about 30 minutes putting together a video review. It shows you a few things that you can do to improve your website's conversion rate and also the amount of traffic that you're getting from it as well. The review is awesome. I cannot overstate this. We have a lot of reviews all across the internet, people saying how amazing this thing is, so I can definitely recommend doing it. Anyway, without further ado, enjoy the show with Daisi Pollard. Daisi, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So as you know, in this show, we go behind the scenes of a particular marketing channel, campaign, or digital marketing strategy that you've used to grow businesses. We'll find out what you did, how well it works, and what you've learned. Ready to lift the curtain?
Absolutely.
Perfect. So today we're talking about images on websites. So I guess massive question to start off with: how important are images to a website's conversion rate, and can you think of any examples that you've worked on where just changing images has produced a lift in conversion rates?
Absolutely. To start with, images are increasingly becoming the most important thing. People process images 60,000 times faster than they do text, and that is what's driving them to click the button, whether it's an ad that leads to your website or just to continue to click through your website. I can give you a ton of examples, but in my wheelhouse, I'll give you one. And it was one of our clients who was doing a t-shirt line, and it was Rastafarian inspired, so like Jamaican culture inspired. And in the beginning, they had these really crappy photos that were just like done like in like Printful or something, or Cafe Press, where they were just the images or the design was just superimposed on the stock model on the site, and they were using those along in the landing page of their site and throughout their site, and it just looked really crappy. And you can kind of see the cutout edges where they tried to superimpose like the beach background and stuff like that, and yeah. And so we took their t-shirts, reshot all of their stuff, put the models in environments. We even sent out the t-shirts to actual like influencers or content creators in Jamaica and people that were part of the Rastafarian community, especially as it's evolved, some of the younger people, and had them create content. And we tried to like cross over with cannabis is really popular in LA now. And so we tried to cross over with the cannabis community and get some diversity, so that it's just not about being Jamaican, but also being just associated with the culture. And their conversion rate grew dramatically. And at that time, their Instagram was just growing a lot because they really had engaging images. They had images that resonated with people that were associated with the culture, and kids like skateboarders in LA that had never really been embraced by the culture. They kind of were in their own subculture, and it kind of brought it together. And so that was one of the examples where changing the images out and really thinking about the customer, who the customer is, who's going to buy these t-shirts, what do they identify with, and really speaking to them, creating content that really spoke to them.
That's really interesting. I mean, certainly when I've talked to e-commerce store owners, if they've got rubbish product images and we say you're going to need new images, you see the blood draining from their face because they think, I've got X hundred products and I'm going to need this professional Hollywood studio set up to get all these things taken. But what you're talking about is actually just sending product out to basically the target audience and have them create the images themselves.
Yeah, I mean, and we did that, and we also took ownership where, I have a small studio here, and so we did a lot of the product shots here, and we
Got it.
casted for the right type of model that would really speak to the brand. And then we did a lot of the supporting stuff. Like it would have been a lot of work and very expensive for this brand to go to Jamaica and do a shoot, right? So the shortcut to that is to find content creators in that area, and there weren't many, but this was a few years ago, and influencer marketing was still growing, and it's an island, and the culture is very different, and so just finding the few that could and that would was enough. And but a lot of the stuff that the core content that the site needed, we were actually able to do here, and that was a game changer for them because before what they had was just not going to work. And yeah, you're right. The guy was the founder of the t-shirt line. He was, frustrated when he came to me, and he had spent money here, spent money there, and was funding this from his other job, and so it was a bit of a relief that we could provide a service that had value and that he could walk away with something tangible instead of like, oh, pay us and we'll market your stuff, and then what does that involve, and what do you have tangible, and he needed a lot of back end work on his site as well. But the biggest value I thought that I could add to the for this person's business is, you're trying to build an image based brand, and that needs to the most important thing is the images. You're selling a product that can easily be commoditized because if you put it on Amazon or in any marketplace, someone in China is going to knock it off. So you really have to come out of the gate with sharp images that and really get those loyal followers that are going to buy your product and live your lifestyle right away, because you're going to fight off people that are going to try to pirate your stuff.
Yeah, it's a great point. I want to dig into specifically the e-commerce side of things with you in just a minute, but I guess it's also worth saying at this point, what we're talking about here, images on websites, isn't just for e-commerce owners, is it? I mean, I remember we've got a travel agency client, and just adding a personal image of the founder on a landing page improved their conversion rate dramatically. So this is also something that I guess any business that is relying on personality, or any business that wants to convey personality, this is something that's really important for them too.
Absolutely, absolutely. We've done a lot of content for service-based businesses where they wanted lifestyle photos, but they didn't want to use stock photos like the generic like Shutterstock or something. And so we've gone out and created that for them. And that's a really big market as well. And I think in that area, I find what crosses over is front loading like testimonial videos and people that have actually had experiences engaging with the service and the small business. And so we've done a lot of hand holding with that, and getting the testimonials and making them authentic, and providing the person that's giving the testimonial with the service, that all that kind of stuff. It really makes a huge difference, especially in this world now where we have in the online world is like the wild, wild west. You've got everyone trying to be a service or a brand or a product. And if you can't resonate with the person, the image that's on the screen, it tells a lot about legitimacy, whether you're a real business, a real person. There's a lot of service-based businesses that are, front shops for something else, and they pull stock photos and create fake LinkedIn profiles and stuff like that. So I think now more than ever, really being having images that represent your brand, but also being in front of your brand, whether it's a service, whether you're a travel agency or an insurance provider. having that face on the
Yeah.
website is really important.
So I want to ask you a bit more about faces in particular, because I guess conventional wisdom these days with product images is that having pictures of people is a good idea. It kind of builds trust and it builds familiarity. Is that what you found as well?
I have found that, but there are cases where having just products alone really works. I think in one area that works really well is electronics, and I think there's a lot of electronic brands that have come out of nowhere that are small knockoffs of like the AirPods and of the Alexas and stuff of the world. And I think instead of having that 3D mock-up in the on white on the white background, actually having it in an environment where it looks like it's in your home, where it's
Mm.
relatable. Can I imagine this on my kitchen counter? Kitchen appliances is another area that is really, I think, a good place where you can have products without people in shots. And there's a lot of areas like that I think it's effective. It can be effective to not have people in there, but have the product in a space where you can imagine yourself using that product instead of somebody else.
Got it. So it's kind of projecting the use of the product and putting it in a real, which I guess is what, when you're seeing an item of clothing on a person rather than just in this kind of space, and you see like a t-shirt on this, I don't know how they do it, like a green screen mannequin or something, and it's just there. Well, actually,
Oh
when you
yeah,
see it on someone and you see it from different angles, you get a different vibe, don't you? So I guess it's about putting the product in a real world situation so people can imagine it a bit more.
exactly. And there's a lot of psychology that goes along with that, right? Because it has to be the right setting. I think one company that does that really well is Wayfair. I don't know if you're familiar with the
Hmm.
furniture company. They
Yeah.
do that really well. Like there's virtually no people on their website, but they have a great way of making you think, man, that would be great in my house. And
Mm.
yeah, they're really great about that. They also have like the technology where you can now take a picture and superimpose the whatever it is in your house and see it like exactly where you think you want to place it. So there's that. But yeah, I think there are companies that do that really well, and there's some that don't, that are we really specialize in people, because I think that's just my background and that's where how I've evolved, and so I understand the emotional connection between people and products or people and services and even just people and ideas and how to convey that and get the emotional reaction.
So let's say that there's an e-commerce store owner listening, for example, and they've got a bunch of product photos on their website. Maybe some products might have one photo, some might have maybe three, but they've all been sent from a distributor or fulfillment company or something. How does somebody know if they need new product photos? When you're on a website and you say you need new product photos, what are you seeing that enables you to make that decision?
So I'm a person that, I've been in the image business for a really long time. I have a vast modeling background. So, I've been in front of the camera my entire life. And you learn how to tell when a photo is a stock photo from a manufacturer. It just becomes like second nature.
Mm.
And so I look at a site and I can tell right away. And it's just something about the pictures and stock photography is generally conventionally taken a certain kind of way. Manufacturer photos are pretty much always on white. They're always like front, profile, back. Um, and there's the same models all the time. And the reason that is because most of the manufacturers are in China. And so they import American and European models. And I've worked in China, so right alongside in these manufacturers. So I know what modeling for these companies is like, and you're doing like I don't know 100 200 garments a day. The work
Wow.
is on one side. There's the backdrop. And you enter the photo set in from one side and you exit on the other side. and then you go behind the backdrop and you take the somebody is there to take off your clothes and put the next outfit on, and you do the same thing over again. So it's a very efficient system which does not allow for a lot of creativity or thought in actually creating the content. They're creating that content so that they can sell you, the retailer, they can sell you the products that that are out this season, and it's a very fast, efficient process. So you become very aware of what these images look like and how to spot them. And so when I'm on someone's website, I know immediately whether they're stock photography or whether, and if they aren't, then somebody just took really bad product shots and they need to do it over. Um, and, and if you can reverse Google search that image, and you see that there's other retailers that have the same images, I mean, that's a dead giveaway. And a lot of customers, so for the less sophisticated consumer that doesn't know that these are stock photography, they are on a lot of these fashion sites every day, shopping, or especially I'm going to focus in on fashion. I think that is where you see a lot of the manufacturer photos reused over and over and over again. But it happens in other areas too. Again, in electronics and in kitchen appliances, you can definitely go on Amazon and see the same garlic press about 50,000 times. But in fashion, you definitely see it a lot. And customers today, especially in America, are very, very aware that these are manufacturer photos, and they feel a little bit burned by it because previously, they were buying from like all of the fast fashion e-commerce sites, and the clothes were coming and they didn't look like they did in the images on the models. They didn't fit the way that the website said they would fit. And then the models didn't reflect the consumer that was buying these products either. And so that's a big problem in that kind of space. And so if you are buying wholesale or drop shipping, even from China, then as an example, or Korea, then you definitely need to allow yourself some lag time to create the content to market to your particular audience.
I suppose those product image factories that you're talking about with 200 garments a day, their job essentially is to remove personality from the photos, right? They need to remove context from the photos because that photo needs to appear on a whole range of websites that might have different styling and different branding. So it essentially needs to be as bland as possible. And where you're going with like lifestyle shots, taking the Rastafarian example, that's in completely the opposite direction, isn't it? That's adding so much personality that the product is part of this bigger picture. So it's a completely different approach.
It is, what's happening now is that because we're now in a global economy, and a lot of things have changed. These manufacturers, like in China, are getting very savvy. There's one manufacturer that I know in particular, and I will try to keep nameless. But they're hiring African models because they know that their wholesalers, the people that are buying from their factory, are African, and they want to see the clothes, what they fit, how they fit on an African woman. And so they're putting African women, they're whether they're doing it actually in Africa, there's a lot of Africans in China. How they're doing it is, I don't know, but they are doing it. And they're even doing e-commerce sites with the same fashion that you can see targeted towards American audiences. They have duplicate sites with African models that are customer facing, and they're targeting a different demographic. So I think that the world of images is getting very competitive because the manufacturers that have all the whereabouts and all the resources to do this are learning very fast about creativity, content creation, and they're learning from us. So it's kind of like it's coming full circle. And so as we are in the West, you really need to consider images in your marketing strategy and be prepared to create images that target your audience, because the manufacturers are already doing it, and they're already considering targeting, making these standalone e-commerce sites that are very highly targeted towards a specific audience and a specific customer.
So I want to try and, if possible, get you to distill all of your e-commerce product image knowledge into some pithy tips. So if I'm an e-commerce store owner, I'm like, right, I need to nail my images. What do these images need to do? Like, if they're going to be killer, I know that I probably need to have them on a person, right, as step one,
Yes.
if it's fashion.
Yes. If it's fashion, you definitely need to have it on a person. And I think that is, I don't think you can get away with that. If they're electronics, then I think you do need to have some really high resolution, high quality close-up images. People really want to be able to almost feel their technology through the screen, and I think that's important because it's a investment, and people are, people, it's a high dollar purchase, and people want to know what they're getting, and they want to be acquainted with it before it gets to their doorstep. Same thing with kitchen appliances, and then seeing their product in their environment. I think knowing your audience is the it's ranking for number one these days because there's so many, like if you go on any, Amazon, for example, and you look for any electronics or any kitchen appliance, you're going to come up with a lot of listings. And what's going to win is the one that resonates the most with people, and it's because they understand the consumer in this space. I like to use the garlic press example, because it's no longer it's for a long time it hasn't been a good idea just to take a picture of a garlic press on white and put it up there. But definitely now you need to know why this is the best garlic press and who needs this garlic press. And so what I like to do is reverse engineer the consumer, understanding who the consumer is. And so like one of the examples that I can give you is when we sold, this is something that I actually did myself, and I sold linen pants. And what I did was I piggybacked someone else's listing that had these same exact linen pants, and I knew they did because I knew the manufacturer. And so I piggybacked it for 2 weeks, and I sold the linen pants at the lowest possible price to see the volume. And I also shipped directly, so I didn't do fulfilled by Amazon. Every time I would get an order and I'd run out of a pack, I'd go to the fashion district, which is a few blocks from me, and I'd buy a couple of packs and then I'd ship them out. And one of the things I would do is research the customer. So I would look at what city and state they lived in so I can kind of understand their lifestyle and what they were doing every day. And then I looked on Facebook. I would Google search them and look on Facebook and see what they did for a living. So what I found with this particular customer is that they were sitting a lot. They either worked as a nurse or in the medical field, or they worked as like a customer service telephone support person, or in something in that capacity that made them have to sit all the time. Most of the customers were overweight, so they were 1X to size 3X, and they couldn't wear things, they were uncomfortable around the waist. So when I don't know if guys have the same experience, but women definitely do. When you're sitting all day and something is constricting your belly, then that can be it's extremely uncomfortable. And also it doesn't promote good blood flow. So a lot of the women were having problems with like swelling in the legs from sitting all day. They were having problems with the waistband. If they wore traditional pants, the waistband like really leaving marks around their waist, and just like a lot of discomfort. And these pants allowed for the waist is soft and it's lycra, so it folds over and it's nice and soft on the body. And also with the pants, the 1X to 3X was kind of very flexible. So even if you were 1X, but you weren't quite a 2X, you could kind of go in between. And it prevented the friction between the legs. So if you walk and your thighs are rubbing together, then you didn't have that friction. And so I really researched this customer, as
I
you
can
can tell.
tell.
I can tell. And then I was like, okay, well, this is a very niche product right now, and a lot of people don't know about this because the images and the copy on this page do not reflect what who this customer is. And so I got one of my friends who's a plus size model. I said, can you come over to the studio and we're going to do some shots on these pants. I explained to her why. And then we did a bunch of photos of her sitting in these pants at a desk we showed how the pants could go from work to evening, because that's a big category for women, especially women that have restrictions with clothing and they can't just put on anything. And so we dressed them up, we dressed them professional, we shot them in several different colors. And we really just focused on showing the comfort and ease of wearing these pants. And then we built out a separate listing, and we used these images. We made a copy so that the customer understood that these are the most comfortable linen pants that you can wear any time of the year. And I called them all season linen pants. So
Love
they
it.
just weren't for summer. And because I found that women, we sold these pants through like December. And and so I increased the price to between like 40 and $60, depending on the color and the time of year, and they continue to sell. So they sold like a lot of these pants, and that's one of my prideful examples of changing out the images. I'm very proud of that project.
So that's amazing because you've basically taken a pretty generic product that was available in all sorts of different sizes, and you've kind of, like you said, reverse engineered your audience and then designed the product images specifically for that audience. So you've kind of created a new product, haven't you, out of something that already existed.
Yeah,
Love it.
yeah, yeah. My general philosophy is, people have always asked me, uh, am I ever going to create a product myself, right? And my answer has kind of been like, no, I don't have any new ideas. I know how existing ideas can be done better, but I don't really have any new ideas. And if I can't create something new that's valuable, I don't want to do the next shiny thing of the day, but I can definitely recreate something that already exists that's probably being underutilized. And so that's kind of what I like to do, is take things that already exist and look at them differently.
Love it. I want to ask you about product demonstrations because I noticed on the site and some of the examples you've got, you're kind of demonstrating how to use a product. And I'm a big fan of infomercials. Every time I go over to the US, I try and find the shopping channels and watch the fantastic infomercials. I'm probably one of the only people in the world that goes on YouTube and actually hunts out old infomercials as well to watch. And I'm fascinated by the impact that a good product demonstration can have. We had the guy from Scrub Daddy on the show as well, and they basically built that business based on these amazing product demonstrations. But it feels to me like product demonstrations these days are a bit of a lost art. Not many e-commerce sites actually bother with them at all. They just have a few images and then that's kind of it. So, I mean, what's your take on the importance of product demonstrations? And if you think they're good, then what makes a good product demonstration?
I think so. I'm with you. I love watching a good product demonstration, and I love the shopping channels and all of that. And I think there's been some really great, growing up in my generation anyway, TV, there were some really great infomercials and product demonstrations out there. I think that has become a lost art because people don't know the business behind the product demonstrations. They don't know why they exist. They think that it's just about selling the product, And so I've been sent, for example, a lot of products they say, do a product demonstration. And I'm like, okay, well, let's break this down. What is the most important things that you want to show in this product about this product? Who is your customer? What do they look like? And what do they do every day? What do they do all day? No, just demonstrate it on camera. And I'm like, so you just want me to turn on the camera and then demonstrate this product for you? Like, there's no thought to it. And I think that is because of websites like Fiverr. So if you go on a website like Fiverr, you can basically get anybody to do a product demonstration. And it cheapens, it no longer becomes an art, it's just a commoditized service. And most people have never done a product demonstration before. They turn on their webcam and they go, okay, I have this and I'm going to do that. And on the other spectrum, though, YouTube and beauty, now it's beauty influencers, but before it was just like content creators. They get show you how to do a winged eyeliner. Like that is a very complicated thing and to do. And especially after you've done one eye and you have to do the second eye is much harder than the first eye. And to see a demonstration where it's done very well, and then there's the artistic aspect of it, the music, the mood. You're creating this whole like experience for the viewer. And that is the art of product demonstrations. And that is really what sells, all of the makeup that's on YouTube. And especially compared to the fact that from a business perspective, color cosmetics sales have been down for like 10 years. And so the influencer community on YouTube is the only thing keeping this industry up. And that's because of people that do great product demonstrations in the beauty and cosmetic space. And so I think that there's been like a bifurcation where there's really crappy people doing it on Fiverr, and then there's the really sophisticated people doing it like on YouTube. And so I think that there are other companies that have done it really well, like Sandwich Video. They're basically have elevated product demonstration videos for Uber, Lyft, all of the big brands. They've become excellent at that. And then there's a few others. I just worked with this advertising company called Advertisement, and they do one of their clients is a hair product company, and I did an infomercial with them for like a short form, basically for Facebook ads on how to use their product, the hair product. And there has become a scientific way of doing it for each platform,
Mm.
but there is not one way across the board. But again, I they're they're so important, and if you can learn what makes a good product demonstration video good, then you are one step ahead of everyone else that's just holding it next to their face and going, look at this, and let me show
Yeah.
you how it works.
I mean, some, yeah, like you say, product demonstrations can sometimes essentially just be unboxing videos, can't they? And here's what you get, and here's like, I mean, I could do a winged
Yes.
eyeliner demonstration, but it probably wouldn't be much good, and I don't think I'd sell much eyeliner. So, let's say that the channel that we're going to be doing it on is on your website. So on a product page on a website, you're going to have a little demonstration video. Let's use eyeliner, right? What are some of the things that you would want to see in that product demonstration to make it compelling so that you knew it would lift conversion rates?
So I think if you're doing it on a standalone website, and let's say it's eyeliner, you can't have just one person doing it, right? So you have to. It's not going to be just like a straightforward like this is how you do an eyeliner. It's going to be a mashup. It's going to have an intro. It's going to follow a storyline. So intro, middle, beginning, middle, end. Um, in the middle, though, you need to show more than one person putting it on.
Mm.
So, so in this beauty world, there's something called a hooded eye and there's an unhooded eye, right? And so it has to do with the way that your eyelid folds over, your upper eyelid folds over, and the way that you apply eyeliner for a hooded eye or unhooded eye is different. And if you're trying to sell the best eyeliner in the world, well, both audiences are going to want to see that because there's a substantial uh, demographic on both sides. It's not
Mm.
just like most people are hooded and very few people are unhooded. It's probably about 50-50. So you have to show that in some kind of way. And a really good product demonstration, I think it's more elegant if it's voiced over
Mm.
than if all of it is direct to camera. I think that it's very difficult for the person that's demonstrating to also make eye contact with the camera and talk about how to do it. I think that it applies in some cases, but I think having the B-roll and the voiceover, it's just elegant. And I think in some of the best infomercials or product demonstrations in the world that has been applied. And I
That's
think,
true, actually, because
yeah,
in an infomercial, you'll have the presenter, won't you? And they'll be talking typically while another presenter is actually doing the demo. It's
yes.
not usually one person trying to do it all because they'd just be on the floor in a heap.
Yeah, it's very hard, right? And And I can tell you from someone that's done it, it is really hard. It's really hard. You're falling all over your phone. Oh my
You've
God.
been on a
Oh, you
floor in
just
a
brought
heap,
me. I
covered in
have
eyeliner.
actually. Well, something like that. There's definitely been moments where it's just been hard. Um, and I think also, telling the story of what the narrative of the person that this product that you're demonstrating is good for. So I used to love those infomercials from the 80s and 90s where, it was like the car cleaning or something or removing the scratch, and it showed
Mm,
the person coming out and seeing their car and it's scratched and they have like the disappointed look, or like they're trying to wash the car and they're falling all over themselves, because they're tripping over the water hose, or they're not professional. They're everyday people, and they're
mm,
everyday people that are struggling, that have a struggle that they're trying to fix or solve, they're trying to get through, right? And I think it just all comes down to life is hard. Here's something that helps you make it a little bit easier. I think that is always the hero's journey when it comes to uh, the product demonstrations and the infomercials, is that there's a hero's journey. There's someone that starts out and trying to figure out how to do something. I just had a baby, I'm trying to change a diaper, or my wife left me at home and I got to mop the floor. And I mean, there's always these dynamics, and that's what you're playing towards, these dynamics of 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 struggle and success, or making it easy.
mm.
And that has really revolutionized, in a lot of ways. I don't want to get into historical advertising, but that has revolutionized in a lot of ways advertising, you know, and yeah, the consumer engagement.
I love it. I love it. Daisy, we've got to wrap up now. I've really, really enjoyed this though. Thank you so much for coming on to share your wisdom. Where can people find out more about you?
Oh, yes, thank you for having me, by the way. My product model, so it's myproductmodel.com, and you can find me on socials at Daisy, Daisi, Pollard, Pollard, and I'm pretty much everywhere on every platform. And if you have any questions about product photos, you can definitely email me through my product model.
Perfect. And we'll get that linked up in the show notes as well. Daisy, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely, thank you for having me. This was fun.
Hope you found this video useful. And remember, if you enjoyed it, click the little like button. If you want to check out more videos from Exposure Ninja, then don't forget to hit the subscribe button and that little bell icon, or leave us a comment if you've got any questions or suggestions of things that you'd like to see us cover in future. Don't forget, if you want some help with your digital marketing, then you can head over to exposureninja.com/review and request a free website and digital marketing review. What will happen here is we'll ask you a few questions about your website and your goals, and one of our team will then put together a 15-minute video where we'll show you how to improve your website's ranking, your traffic, and your conversions. It's completely free of charge. I know, crazy, right? But danger, there is a chance that you'll become a client after seeing this review, because it'll blow your socks off. I have to be honest, but don't let that put you off. Go to exposureninja.com/review, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.